John. Oh my gosh.
Okay, all right. I'm sorry. They warned me that we had to keep our distance. Look at this place. And the people. Are you doing okay?
Yeah, I'm okay.
Are you sure? You don't look it.
You should see yourself. I'm okay. Look, little brother, I might not get out of here, but I'm okay. You know what I was thinking about this morning? I was thinking about that time when we were boys and we took Father's fishing boat out without him knowing about it. We knew we'd get in trouble if we got caught. You remember that?
Do I remember that? Listen, you said, hey, let's take Father's boat out. I said, absolutely not. If Father catches us, he's going to have our hide. And then you said, no, it'll be fine. It'll be okay. What's the worst that could happen? Don't be a coward. That's what I remember.
Okay, that's a version. Well, do you remember getting caught in that storm and you were so scared and you fell over?
Listen, these soldiers must have done something to your memory. It wasn't the storm, it was your steering that made me fall out of the boat. I was literally drowning. Fighting for my life. And then you yell out, hey, get back in the boat. If you drown, Dad's gonna kill us both.
Okay, maybe that could be right. I guess I've always been getting you into trouble.
But good trouble. Good trouble.
I guess we could say that now, couldn't we? Good trouble. Oh, man. It was just 3 or 4 years ago. We were working in Father's boat. We had the best business on Galilee. We had hired servants working for us. And then I went to hear John the Baptizer preach. And I came and got you. And we began to follow him. Father so wanted us to take over his business. Did I ever tell you what he said to me? He got me alone one day and he said, what are you doing? Why are you going out listening to him? I didn't know what to say. I said, when he talks, my heart is on fire. And then he said, look, if you want to throw your future away chasing after some prophet, go ahead, but don't take your brother with you. John will go wherever you go. Don't throw away his future too. But we went back to the boat, didn't we? Until he came along. You remember that day? John the Baptizer pointed him out. And we started following him, and he could tell someone was behind him, and he turned around and asked us a question. What are you looking for? There's just something about the way he asked it. I didn't even know what to say. I didn't know what I was looking for. I just said, where are you staying? It's dumb. And he said, come and see. Come and see. And that's what we did. All it took was a few days later, him walking by the boat again and said, "Follow me." We haven't been back there. Here I am. Little brother, I've been doing a lot of thinking about that day to this one and what got me here. And there's this question that just keeps coming up for me. Why were we always in the inner circle? You know, it was always you, me, and Peter. Why? I mean, did he like see something special in us? I mean, think of what we saw in him the others didn't see. It started in Capernaum years ago. We were going to Peter's house. He was telling us about his mother-in-law and how she was sick and he didn't think she was going to make it. And we went into the room and he bent over and he started praying. And the next thing you know, she's sitting up. She goes into the kitchen and starts cooking a meal. And then you remember that day in the home of that synagogue ruler. What was his name? Jairus. And his daughter died. And we got into his house. And the Lord made everyone leave the room, leave the house, except us. I think that's the first time I heard him speak Aramaic. Talitha cum. Little girl, get up. And her eyes started blinking. She opened her eyes. And he stood her up. John, we saw that. Healing somebody's one thing, bringing them back from the dead. We saw that. Then there was that day on Mount Tabor. I don't remember where the others were that day. I just remember him coming to you and me, Peter, and said, "Come with me." And we started going up the mountain, and we got all the way to the top, and the clouds came in, and it got foggy, and then all of a sudden it got bright. And we could see him talking to Moses and Elijah. We did not make that up. We saw that. Why? Why were we there? You know what I used to think? I used to think it's because there was just something special about us. I mean, you and me, we had been running a boat with servants and leading people. None of the others had done anything like that. Peter? Peter was Peter. He was always a head case. But he was a convincing head case. But the day I started questioning if I wanted to stay in that inner circle was when we went through that Samaritan village and they shut their doors in our faces, one after another. I mean, I was so humiliated and angry, and I know you were too. We both went to them and we said, "Lord, call down fire from heaven, destroy these people." He got so mad. That's the first time I've heard him yell at us. He looked us square in the eye. He said, "I did not come to destroy people. I came to save them." And that's when I started second guessing. I thought, man, if that's your mission, it ain't mine. Some people aren't worth saving. especially those people. They don't deserve to be saved. I don't ever think I told you, though, that the day I just about walked away, the day I about quit, was that day we asked him for positions of honor.
Here we go again. There was no we. There was no, what do you mean we? We asked?
Oh, come on, man. Are we going to do this again here? Really? When are you going to let it go, man? All right, look. I asked him, okay? It was my idea. I dragged you along, but I'm the one who wanted to ask. Are you satisfied? Do you know why? Do you know why I dragged you along? It's because I was embarrassed. I wanted to know what was in it for me, and I didn't have the courage to stand there alone. That's why I asked you to go. I didn't even hear what he said. I mean, that's what happens, isn't it? When you're so consumed with yourself, you don't even hear other people. He'd been talking about his suffering and his death, and all I could think about is, when's going to be the right time to ask? When can I get him to the side? And I finally get him over to the side. I told him that we wanted to know if we could have the positions of honor in his kingdom. I guess my timing was a little off that day. But do you remember what he asked us before I said that? When I got him off to the side? He said, "What do you want me to do for you?" I think that's the most important thing he ever said to me. I mean, that's the question I'd been waiting for. All of those years of following, being faithful to him even though I didn't understand it, even though I didn't believe it. Just once. James, what do you want? How can I use my power for you? What do you need? But he didn't say that, did he? He didn't say, "What do you need?" He said, "What do you want?" And I think I know why. I think he knew that I had to be honest about what I wanted so I could begin to figure out what I needed. That's when I realized why we were in the inner circle. In fact, I won't even drag you into it. I won't drag Peter into it. It's when I realized why I was there. It is not because I was better than the others. It's because I needed to be there. I was selfish. I was stubborn. I was hot-tempered. I needed to be closer to him. And the place where it started coming together was at his crucifixion. I remember every detail about that day. I remember when the sun came up and it started shining through the olive trees. And I remember it was warm. And it just was a day that felt hopeful. We had been up all night. We didn't know what had happened to him. We wondered what was going to happen to him. And the morning began so beautifully. I thought, this is going to turn out okay. But as soon as he appeared out of the Antonia fortress, I knew it was not going to be okay. They beat him so bad, he could barely stand up. they put that crown of thorns into his head. They were literally sinking into his skull. And then they put that beam on his back. He could barely stand. He staggered all the way through the city up to the hill. I can't get out of my head the sound he made every time they struck the nails. I can't forget that. And then they hoisted him up. And he finally cried out, and his head slumped. And I knew that was it. You know, the others, they tell me to quit focusing on that. They say, don't think about that moment. Focus on what happened after, what came later. Focus on what God did with it. Focus on the good. But the good doesn't make any sense if you skip the pain. I couldn't make sense of why somebody who had the kind of power he did to help other people wouldn't help himself. That made no sense. We saw him heal people. We saw him raise people from the dead. He could have prevented that. It didn't have to happen. Isn't the point of power to get what you need, to get what you want? But when I saw his head slump, I realized no, it isn't. That's not the point of power. If you can get what you want, that's privilege. If you can get what you need in this world, that's a privilege. Power is being able to get what you want and not do it. I realized staring at his cross, I was staring at power. He could have changed all of that, but he didn't. And he died believing that God was still working and going to do something he wouldn't see. And that's when I had my answer to his question. What do you want me to do for you? I want that. I want that. I want the power to know that life can be okay when it's not okay, when I don't get my way. I want the power to believe that God still works anyway. You know Latin. What does the phrase mean? Ad utrumque parados mean? Ad utrumque parados.
That's a loaded phrase. Ad utrumque parados. It literally means ready for either. Ready for either.
Of course it does. I knew it had to mean something like that. Some time ago, I found a Roman coin. And in the middle of it, there was an image of an ox. And on one side of the ox was an altar. And on the other side was a plow. And underneath, ad utrumque parados. Ready for either. Sacrifice or service. little brother, I'm ready for either. Ad utrumque paratus. I'm okay. I'm not giving up. I'm not giving up. I believe that as long as we're alive, we keep fighting. When things are not okay, you do something about it. You keep going and going as hard as you can. But even if it doesn't turn out okay, you can be okay. He answered my question. He gave me his power. I'm okay. John, I would love to grow old. I would love to see our grandchildren playing together one day. I would love that very much. But the story of my life doesn't end with my life. John, you are so smart. You are so smart. Write down his story. Tell it. Tell his story. But one favor, if you mention me, don't use my name. Don't use my name. Just say I was a disciple who was there and tell what he did for me. Do that. Do it. John, it's going to be okay. I'm okay.
James, son of Zebedee, was executed in the year 44 AD by King Herod Agrippa I. He was the first of the disciples of Jesus to die. He did not write a gospel or letter. There are no stories of miracles associated with him, but there is a myth about James. It says his remains were carried to Spain and buried beneath what is now the Cathedral of Galatia. This, of course, cannot be proven. Yet a tradition formed called the Camino de Santiago, or Way of St. James, where millions upon millions have walked the path of pilgrimage. People of all walks of life, different races and nationalities, people seeking guidance and healing from the hurts of life, from the confusion of our world, from pain that makes no sense. And the Way of St. James gives them peace. Perhaps they come seeking to understand and answer for themselves Jesus' question, what do you want me to do for you?